Hey there, I'm here with my August update on how my garden is doing this year with all of these different garden beds. So I'm going to share with you some things that I ended up ripping out. I had some varmint issues, a few pest issues, but overall just how well everything is growing in the garden beds. So for starters, my basil is not doing just too bad. I had it here in the pots. And so we've been actually picking quite a bit of the basil for pizzas and pastas and different things like that. My celery is growing really well. In fact, I'm sitting here debating, like, when do I want to actually pull my celery? So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it, as I will be freeze drying this for soups. And then I did end up pulling out my kohlrabi. It just never ended up developing a bulb. And so in this space, I ended up starting a few romaine lettuce spots, and then I tried to do a kohlrabi and some more broccoli, but unfortunately I had some rodent issues that were, as you can see here, eating my plants. So my poor cabbages lost all their leaves, a couple of my broccolis, and as my broccolis bloomed, I knew that they wouldn't be doing more blooms, so I went ahead and ripped them out. So I'm just waiting for the last of my cauliflowers to finish, heading out, and then I will be taking those out. And then I would like to actually, now that I got my varmints under control, plant this and, weed it, plant it in some spinach for a fall crop so that I can put some spinach in the garden. And if you want a really cool tip on varmints, in this bucket I have water with sunflower seeds on top, and I was able to actually kill or exterminate 2 chipmunks that were doing all this damage in my garden. So just an idea if you have issues with varmints as well. Over here, my dill got huge, and I even have a few caterpillars in there. So as I needed dill, I just kind of pulled it out and cooked with it. My peas actually continued to grow, and you can see them going up onto my garden trellis over here. So we're still picking up a few peas. And then here, my ground cherries are filling out really nicely, but I'm not really seeing any cherries yet that we can harvest. And then here I have my zucchini, and I have 2 different types of zucchini. I have the long zucchini that you see here, and so I've picked off a few of those before they get too big. And then my other variety of zucchinis that I have are these round type. Pull this out of the way so you can see it. So they get about, softball size, and they're really fun because you could actually cut them in half and fill them with meats and cheeses and bake them. As for my garden towers, my beets do not seem to be doing as well this year. I don't know what it is, if it's the soil or nutrients or the weather we're having. So I don't expect much of a crop from my beets. However, the carrots are looking really good. I can actually see some of those carrots down in there. So we'll give these until the beginning of September, and we'll take those out. And then of course my edible flowers are looking really well. So for my mint, and I still cannot believe how tall these mints have come out of my garden bag, as they're like a foot down into the bed. But these are apple mint. So if you've never had this one, this is chocolate mint, and you can kind of tell because the stem is like a little bit darker. And then I have a pineapple mint. These have like the little white leaves on it. So there's a few pineapple mint in there. The mojito mint have like this rougher texture. And then this is a new variety, orange mint. And then this one looks like more mojito mint. This is just regular peppermint. Then for this bed, I did have my onions in there, and so I'll share a quick clip with you on my onion harvest. I had 5 different varieties of onions this year. Red bulbs along with yellow, white, leeks, walla wallas, and maybe one other. I can't remember what it was. But I do think I planted them a little thick, as you can see, and that probably hindered the size of some of my bulbs. But here's the yellows that I harvested, the whites. Here's the leeks. And I ended up chopping those up and freeze drying them. And then here's all the reds. Actually ended up with a huge crop of red onions. Now to just let them dry. As far as my peppers, they're actually doing really well now that the onions are out of here. So my jalapenos have some great little peppers on them. My bell peppers are doing well. The cucumber is doing amazing. So there's only 2 plants here, and these are like your smaller cucumbers. So not necessarily a pickling cucumber, but more just some of those fresh eating ones. And so they're actually starting to produce way here up at the top. And so my vines are going to end up start going down the other side. So that's just crazy to me. I still have a few kale out here. I had a tomato plant that decided to come back. My stevia plant is doing well, so I'm looking forward to drying that in my freeze dryer for my teas. As far as the tomatoes, I've been starting to pick my tomatoes. So again, the center is the heirloom. The outside are the Roma tomatoes that I planted. And so I just keep watching for when my tomatoes start turning and then I pick them. So, but overall, the whole crop is looking really well. And there are 12 tomato plants in this 8x4 garden bed. Then for some of my teas, so I did get a lavender flower. My lamb's ear is looking wonderful. My chamomile, I actually need to come back out here and pick my flowers. I had a cherry tomato come back, so I'm just going to kind of let this one we produce a few cherries. My oregano is actually blooming. My thyme is down there, and that looks super fun. I did put in a couple cabbages just to kind of let them grow, and then I've already started picking some of my lemon balm or Melissa to start drying that for tea. I love how that one tastes. And then my potatoes did really well. However, they did get aphids towards the end of their growing season here. So I'm actually going to be taking this all out this week and weighing out how many potatoes I got with the 32 plants in here. And I planted these May 1st. Which is really early for us in my area. But because they're protected by the house and we had a nice warm spring, they have been doing wonderful. And I ended up with no potato bugs. I just only had this one issue with these aphids. And there are other ways that you can treat aphids: soapy water, diatomaceous earth, neem's oil. But like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and pull the crop and start drying it for storage, as I want to start working on my hash browns and cubed potatoes and things like that to put in my freeze dryer. However, this pumpkin plant, which I thought it was a zucchini, but I did try a bunch of different seeds this spring. This is one plant, and it is like taking over the side of my house. And so we'll see if we actually get any pumpkins on it. But the aphids have started attacking the leaves on this pumpkin plant. So I'm going to have to go get me some of this neem's oil and go ahead and spray this pumpkin plant in hopes to keep it, to where it can actually produce a few pumpkins for us. Then I don't know if I updated you on my potatoes in my July video, but these are all garden bag potatoes. And so I pretty much planted them and have been just watering them and keeping an eye on them. So I'll be really interested to see how many potatoes do I get in a potato bag versus planting them in my garden beds. And some of these are like 10 gallons, and we've got a couple like 3 cubic foot ones, 3 gallons, and 5 gallons. So I've got several different sizes in here, so we'll see which ones do the best. So that's my garden update for August. Stay tuned for my September and as I continue to harvest in my garden. And if you can see right there, I'm actually adding a new garden bed in the center of my garden. I wanted to get some greenhouse tops for the tops of my garden beds, and I didn't really research my purchase very well, as this one came with a garden bed. So I had to make room for another garden bed, and then this greenhouse actually fits right over the top of it. But I did find another greenhouse that will go over my other garden beds. So stay tuned to my Erin's Reviews page if you're interested in getting greenhouse tops for your garden beds, and if this one fits the beds that I have.